Hey guys, I'm Kate, and this is the first time I've tried narrating one of my videos. So, I don't really have a plan. I'm just gonna kind of talk while this plays and see where it goes. Um, so, this is a contest entry for someone on DeviantArt who's a friend of mine, and it's her character. And I originally started out trying to do this in Photoshop because I just wanted to try it out. I'm usually a Paint Tool SI user, but I thought I'd give it a try and see if I could finish a painting in Photoshop. I didn't end up doing the whole thing in Photoshop, but I gave it a good try. So I started out trying to do kind of a purple underlay and then painting on top of it to try and let some of the purple show through, which is a technique that I learned from Ahmed Aldouri. And if you look up his videos, he's got a lot of really good tutorials and speed paints and fun stuff like that. It didn't work real well for me, mostly because I completely covered it up, and that kind of misses the point. But I had a hard time getting that to work. So eventually I might as well not have done it at all by the end of it. But hey, it's always good to try new things. So I knew I wanted this piece to be very colorful, and so I chose kind of a sunset time. And her hair was red, so I made sure to put some darker purple, blue up at the top just to kind of make sure her hair would stand out. I'm saying a lot. That's because I don't have a plan and I'm just kind of shooting from the hip. So anyway, the recording software on Movie Maker to record this audio, and I don't have a professional mic. So it might sound kind of fuzzy and odd, but I hope you can at least hear me. If I do this more, then I might get something that's a little bit more professional. I just thought that since this one was going to be a fairly long video, it took me 7.5 hours to paint this. So I sped it up to 40 times faster than that, but it's still 11 minutes long. I thought it might be more interesting if I narrated it than if it was just playing music or mute. So let me know what you think of the narration and whether you prefer that. I guess if you don't like it, you can always just mute it too. So, but sometimes I know for me, I love watching artists' speed paints and tutorials and listening to their comments about their work or whatever they happen to talk about. So I might do more of these in the future, especially since I started a Patreon, and I feel like if I'm doing commentary on these videos that I'm posting for Patreon and my patrons, that it's kind of more of an experience. So oh yeah, we can see I'm back in Paint Tool SI now because I was missing a lot of the tools that I'm used to using in Paint Tool SI, and the way the brushes feel. I guess it's like if I was a traditional artist, it'd be like picking up someone else's brushes and trying to do a painting with them, and it would just be not as familiar, and I didn't like how the painting was turning out, so I took it back to SI so that I could kind of repair it, I guess. I like the end product. We're not quite there yet, but I'm glad I tried Photoshop just because it's, like I said before, it's always good to try and expand your horizons and test the limits of your comfort zone. Try to get your mind on something new so that you don't just fall into the same old habits and do the same thing over and over again. So I had some trouble trying to get her tongue to look right. I wanted it to look like it was wet and that it was sticking out, but I didn't want it to look gross. So that took me a few tries. I don't think I've ever really drawn a tongue sticking out before like that when in a painting. So, but that's another new thing I was trying is I'm really making an effort to get some more emotion showing up in the faces of the characters that I paint. I have a tendency to just do kind of neutral expressions, and that's really boring. So this is a very intense concentration on her face, which I know that's what my face looks like often when I'm playing video games, and that's what she likes to do is play video games. So I figured that the expression was appropriate for that situation. And you can see that I eventually do merge my sketch layer in onto the color layer and just kind of paint over it until the sketch is completely incorporated into the picture. I feel like it adds a little bit more depth when I do this. In my last video, I did a line work, and then I colored a layer underneath it, and then I merged those and went back over the edges of the line work so it looked more like they were painted in. And I kind of like how that one turned out a little bit better than this one, which doesn't have any line work and is a full lineless painting. I think the other one has, I don't know, I guess it's a little bit more cartoony look, but that's what I tend to gravitate towards. So I liked it a little better, but I do like how this one eventually ended up too. So as an experiment, I'd say it was a success mostly. The hands, those were tough to paint. I was looking at a few references, but hands are always tough. I guess if you do them enough that they're not so hard, but for most people, they are one of the hardest things because they're just so complex. And yeah, so I spent a lot of time trying to get the nails looking right and the shading looking right, and then I kept going back to the hair. Oh man, so it's hard to talk for 11 straight minutes and have enough to say. I guess if anybody has any questions, please do ask them in the comments below and I will answer. There aren't very many people commenting right now, so you can be pretty sure that I will answer your comment. Yeah. Also, if you get a moment, it'd be awesome if you check out my Patreon account. It's brand new, and I do have some patrons already, and I really appreciate them taking the time to look at that and to support me. I kind of never thought that anyone really would do that, so it's kind of blowing my mind that people have done that already, so I appreciate every one of you. Found myself constantly going back in and trying to add a little bit more shading and a little bit more light, really trying to boost the contrast because many of my pieces are too monotone for me, not quite vibrant enough, and I really wanted to address that with this piece and see if I could really up the lighting. And I really like how the sun is shining through her hair and on her shoulder and later on the top of the dog's head. I like how that turned out, and I wanted to make sure and add plenty of little details, so I had fun with the stitching on the pillows and trying to get the DS to look pretty accurate. So that was fun. This piece had a lot of fun details to work on. I kind of didn't originally mean for it to be so close in, but I wanted to make sure and at least have something in the foreground, something in the middle ground, and then something in the background, which is why that pillow is kind of in front of her arm there, because I felt like it needed a foreground element, and it doesn't take much, just a little bit covering up your main focal point kind of helps frame the focal point, and I think it did a lot for this piece as far as, you know, one little pillow can do. So she looks very comfy surrounded by all of her pillows, and she's afraid of stuffed animals, so otherwise I would have drawn some of those. But I figured everybody likes comfy pillows, especially the dog. Reminds me of my dog. But yeah, it looks like we're almost done here. Let's see how far we've got to go. Oh, just a little bit. So I want to say thank you for watching, and please hit subscribe if you liked my work and would like to see more of it. I will be posting these more often. And thanks a bunch for checking this one out, and leave a comment. Thanks, guys.